And a hitting crew for this exhibition, Brian O'Connell, Pat Driscoll, along with Nathan Farrell from the Big East.
Come out as the team that everyone is targeting.
Skip pass, and a three is an air ball and knocked out to the Tigers.
And, you know, Coach Patino made a comment the other day. He wants this to be a program that is consistently in the top 10. That's important for name recognition for the Big East, for St. John's, and just making a stamp as a perennial, highly ranked program in the country. It's a good start being number 5.
And Towson last year, 22 wins, 16-2 in the CAA, and the pull-up misses for Tejada. And the rebound snared by St. John's and Ian Jackson.
A new team, new players here, new chemistry that we're going to find out soon enough. And early on, St. John's is going to try to play through the paint, get Zuby going, and the spacing should be much improved this year with the shooting addition of Sellers, Sanan, and Jackson. Those 3 guys alone bring a totally different assortment of offense with their ability to space the floor. They're all dynamic three-point shooters.
First foul, Tariq, on Towson's, Chike, and Defo from Elmont, New York, down the road here in Queens. Off the inbound, Sellers off the mark and pulled down by Mbea for Towson.
This Towson team returning 2 starters, and Tejada and Williamson being the alpha leaders of this team, and Tejada will get a lot of looks as he tries to penetrate and turns it over there.
Yeah, no score in this one. Minute 15 gone by. Getting the legs loose, getting into live competition. St. John's adding so many good shooters in the portal entering this year. As Ejiofor's spin, it popped out. Here comes Towson.
This Towson team playing man-to-man to come out and making Zuby work hard for his possessions as St. John's gets out.
Ian Jackson with the stuff and the first points for the Johnnies.
Well, you know, Rick Pitino teams want to play fast and play with pace, and this is the kind of team with so much athleticism and speed that early offense is what they're going to try to go to. Good start there with the Jackson dunk.
And Towson conversely wants to play tough, slow you down, meat grinder style.
That's exactly right. A tale of 2 styles here.
Dumbia, and intercepted and stolen. Sanan got in there with the hands.
And good job by Sanan being active with his hands in the passing lane. And at 6'4", he's got that size and length to be so disruptive.
Ejiofor for 3. Off the glass, and the long rebound taken by Dumbia. Right to the basket, denied by Zuby. And Defo, second chance. Almost. Still have a chance at the foul line, though, after the chase down swat by Zuby Ejiofor.
Well, Zuby Ejiofor is probably the best rim protector in the league, and he was one of the best shot blockers last year. Great job, great timing, and Sanan did a great job of kind of corralling Defo to the side of the basket where he didn't have an angle to get to the rim, and Zuby Ejiofor came in and cleaned it up.
Pat Scarry is very high on Defo, Tariq. His brother was part of the St. Peter's team, which Shane Holloway that went to the Elite Eight. He's from Elmont, New York, had a really good summer.
Yep, and Defo trying to carve out his own identity after his big brother had such a illustrious college career. They're very high on this young man. Just a redshirt freshman.
Tied at 2. Ejiofor crashing the glass. Goes up denied by Mbea, and it comes out of bounds to Towson. And that's part of the goal for the Tigers, make Zuby a little frustrated here in the early going. They've got the bodies to do it.
Well, they're going to have their hands full because Ejiofor is a tenacious offensive rebounder. The motor is what he brings to any defense trying to stop him. He just won't stop going after those loose balls, but great job by Towson on the defensive end.
And they break the pressure. Here's a man you talked about, Dylan Williamson, a junior, and really lit it up in the conference tournament down the stretch last year.
He's a big-time player. Point guard, scoring guard, fearless, and he is counted on to run the offense, get his team organized, but also be their primary perimeter threat.
Moonball 3 misses and knocked into the cheerleaders and out of bounds to St. John's. And now Pat Scarry is going to make a couple of substitutions. Bring on Tyler Schmidt, the transfer from Valparaiso.
Bryce Hopkins will come in for his first minutes of action. And the thing about this St. John's team, Ed, which is so exciting, is they have so many lineups, scenarios of playing big, playing small. Right now, with Hopkins in the game, he'll be the 4-man with Zuby Ejiofor at the 5. And, you know, Hopkins is not a traditional big man. He can step out, put it on the floor, and really bring that versatility to the game.
A quiet start for St. John's, 1 for 7. A tie game at 2 here in the exhibition. Sanun for 3, and that's good for the Johnnies.
And that's a good sign for Sanun and the Johnnies, because he is a guy that I won't say has the green light, but he has the green light.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. They don't want him wasting any shots. He should be, I think he should take 8 to 10 threes a game. He is that good of a shooter. Big-time transfer from Arizona State.
Nearly 37% from 3 last year for Sanun in Tempe. 8 to shoot for Towson. Right now they're 0-4 from the field. Tejada, tough 3, that's way short. Tipped out to Womack, the freshman. Can't bank it in. And that time Sellers ripped it down. It's going to stay with.
And always a great partner for these coaches, players, and us too, the broadcasters. Yep. Spent some time with him before the game, just updating us on the new rule changes this year. And he is just he's a great person. He's a great official, and it means a lot to the league.
It's official. He is not the best official in his house anymore.
That's
and
right.
No one's happier, I'm sure, than he is.
He's a proud dad for sure.
St. John's basketball, a couple of changes out of the timeout. Ejiofor, the spin, popped out. Good defense that time by Mbeya. St. John's 2 for 9 to start.
And getting good shots, unable to finish. That's the second time that Zuby Ejiofor's done a great job of getting deep post up, but unable to finish. He was looking for some contact, the foul there, foul call, but didn't go his way.
Dylan Darling wearing 0 in for St. John's with Ejiofor, Sellers, Sanun, and Hopkins. Step to his right, moonball 3 misses for Williamson. Get a second chance, it's Tejada. That's no good as he shoved by Sellers. And an air ball back to the Johnnies.
Well, the one thing that you'll see early on is St. John's is doing a great job of contesting all shots by Towson. There's been no
2. Johnnies 2 for 9. Towson 0 for 8 to start, and yet it's a 5-2 game with over 5 gone by.
And ball reversal is so important to St. John's. If they can get some spacing, get the defense to shift, they want to keep that ball moving.
3-pointer is short. And kicked out of bounds, and last touch by Towson off the foot of Womack, who's saying, let's challenge. But it's a little early for that, and we went over the challenge rules streak with the officials before the game.
It is a little early to use it because you only get one, and certainly with this much time left in the first half, you're better off holding on to that.
And Sellers gets a breather for St. John's. Rick Pitino turning to Lefteris Leotopoulos off the bench. The man from Greece misses the 3. On the weak side, it's snared by the Tigers. And their big guy, Morsek, at 7 foot. Nice take, but Towson 0 for 9 to start.
Great contest by Zuby Ejiofor again.
Yeah, wave it off. No continuation on the foul on the floor.
Well, when you're trying to build a new team, as Rick Pitino is, you depend on this guy right here, number 24, Zuby Ejiofor, to keep everyone connected and watch him recognize he had the mismatch, using his speed and quickness off the bounce. And he's going to make a living this year on the foul line because of his versatility.
13th foul on Towson. Here's Dylan Darling off the curl. Nice move, Leotopoulos gets the bounce.
And lefty Leftopoulos, one of the bright spots in the offseason, returns as a sophomore, is one of the most improved players on this team. He's improved his strength, his finishing ability, and at 6'5", he's got great size over smaller guards.
Here's the big man. A hook shot for Sek in the first points for the Tigers from the field.
First paint points by the Towson Tigers, and Sek looked real comfortable with that jump hook.
Step back for Hopkins, off the mark from 18. Leotopoulos for 3. Yeah, we get a loose ball foul on the floor here on the Tigers. That's their 4th now in the first 7 minutes. And it goes against Morsek, the 7-foot senior who transferred in from Fresno State.
And I think that was Ejiofor who drew that foul, trying to attack the offensive glass, and that's why he's such a hard guy to stop with Ejiofor, because he's never standing still. He's always moving. Drew that foul on Sek.
And he's got 2 quick ones, the 7-footer. Leotopoulos. Here's Hopkins. Played sparingly the last 2 years at Providence. A prize pickup in the portal. Nice take, but too much from Ibinayo, and it's pulled down by Mbea.
The Tigers are doing a nice job of staying in front, not getting beat off the bounce, contesting. And they have been solid defensively, holding St. John's to just 7 points in the first 8 minutes.
Bobbled and stolen. Yeah, turnovers piling up early for Towson. Here come the Johnnies. Nice take by Hopkins, but it left just short.
Everything a little short early on by the Johnnies, and that's why these exhibitions are so helpful.
Towson today, Michigan at the Garden next week for St. John's.
That's right. It gets real after that.
And Tejada with a chance at 3. Blocking foul underneath on St. John's, and the prize returnee will get a free throw for Towson.
Well, Tejada brings versatility to this Towson team, and you saw it there. Just a strong drive off the bounce at 6'9", no problem elevating over Ayo, and the contact doesn't bother him because he's one of the stronger players on the floor.
St. John's makes another change. In comes the freshman Kelvin Odie in place of Ibinayo. And Tariq, mid-major basketball, when you're trying to retain guys, a lot of times you're hoping to get them for a year, obviously. The great ones, maybe 2 max. But when you get a 3rd year out of them, they come back again. It's massive. And to get Williamson and Tejada, if you're Pat Scarry, was just so important for his program entering a year where they're trying to make it 5 straight 21 seasons.
Absolutely. And I talked to Coach Scarry just about that. And he said, we're fortunate that we've got great kids that come from great families that don't necessarily want to chase the next opportunity when they know they have a good thing here. They're happy, they love the coaching staff, and they feel like they can get better and still accomplish their goals of playing in the NBA from staying right where they started here in Towson.
7-6 St. John's, almost 8 minutes expired. It's been one of those games you say, hey, team shaking off the early season rust? Yes, St. John's 3 of 15, Towson is 2 for 11 to start. Give and go, and the reversal and foul. Hopkins, a chance at 3, and a great find by Ruben Prey.
That was good to extend this lead, and early on it's been a back-and-forth battle. And, you know, you expect that early on. This is their first time playing against someone other than themselves. They've been beating each other up for over, you know, a couple months now if you include the summer. And now they get a chance to play against someone in a different uniform. And it takes a little time, and you can see that early on. And this is a team that's still figuring out how they want to play together. And that was a nice sequence that we just saw, Ed, with Bryce Hopkins, a little give and go. He has a chance to be phenomenal. One of the best players in the Big East, Bryce Hopkins, as he was before his injury at Providence.
Yeah, a tough couple of years with the left knee. Up and under, misses that time for Towson, but it's batted out to Williamson. No reset of the shot clock. You know, Hopkins last year played just 3 games. Bone bruise in his left knee, the one he tore 2 years ago, which held him to 14 games. So a combined 17 games the last 2 years. Off the steal, Darling unloads to Jackson. Spacing wasn't there. It's kicked around and stolen by the Tigers. St. John's, their first turnover.
Well, you said it exactly right. No spacing there for Darling to complete that pass, and he telegraphed it with his eyes. The defense just read his eyes and knew that he was going to try to dish it to Jackson and intercepted the pass.
They fronted Tejada off the ball. Pull up for Doumbia is good. Don't know if he called it, but around it in.
Doesn't matter, though. It went in.
Jack Doumbia Jr., the transfer from Wright State. 9-8 St. John's. Towson with their 3rd field goal. There's Hopkins. Ian Jackson with 10 to shoot. Hopkins a spin and the touch.
He looks really good, and he is so versatile right there. Just creates space with a nice bounce. Explosive first step allowed him to get that shot up over the defense. And the touch, he's always had that.
He has 4 points. One of all Big East first team with Providence 2 years ago. 3 is good from the corner. It's Dumia for Towson.
Well, Dumia is someone they're really excited about. A transfer from Wright State. 6'6".
Nice collection by Prey with the left denied. Second chance for St. John's. It's Jackson right into traffic. Follow slam miss for Odie. And nearly hurt himself, but he braced in time. Dumia drives baseline and a blocking foul on Ruben Prey for the Johnnies.
This is a Towson team that is not known for playing up-tempo. They had one of the slowest tempo paces in the country last year. I believe they were 346 in pace out of like 360 teams. But they will try to push it when they have opportunities, especially off of a miss or a turnover. And that was a nice push by them there to get the ball up quickly.
So you're saying slow, slower, and they've had some years where they've been the slowest.
That's right.
That's okay.
It all involves slow. But with Williamson, they want him to be aggressive and push the ball. Also Tejada when he gets the ball off the miss.
There he is. Too much on the 3. Rebounded Darling. St. John's transfer from Washington State and Idaho State after that. A terrific shooter among the many they brought in. Scored over 19 a game last year. Big Sky Player of the Year. But he coughs it up. And St. John's with their second giveaway. Womack nails the 3, and Towson with their first lead today.
Well, they are not going away. They're playing good defense. That's the first thing. And they have been able to take St. John's out of rhythm. And this active hands, St. John's has got to be a little bit more attentive with their ball security, stronger with the ball. And St. John's calls a timeout.
Quick 5-0 burst by Towson here with under 9 left in the first half. A 14-11 lead for the Tigers. They met last year, Tariq, in the exhibition season. St. John's won by 18, but again, it was tight. They had to pull away late to win. These games, I mean, you're Rick Pitino's team. You press, you play fast, you can go 6 great players deep, but really 10 deep on any given night. You're Towson. You play slow and methodically, but they're integrating new pieces around their 2 stars. These games are kind of perfect to lay the table, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why you know Coach Pitino and Pat Scarry are using this as a way to get better for their teams and something to kind of look and say, this is where we are in our team in terms of what we can do better, what we need to work on. And Towson has come out in his last couple of minutes and been able to hit some jump shots, and that has loosened up the defense. This man right here, Dumbia, hit 2 long 2s, and then they hit a 3 after that. So this is a team, it's a game of runs. Right now, the Tigers have the momentum, up 3.
Darling running the point for the Johnnies out of the timeout, and he misses Ejiofor, which if you're Rick Pitino, out of a timeout, that'll drive you nuts.
It sure will. There's nothing that drives a coach crazy than losing a possession off of a turnover coming out of a timeout. They drew that play up specifically to get the ball to Ejiofor, and the pass was not there.
Yeah, giving Darling some run here at the point. It's going to be a rotational position for St. John's. You figure Sellers their best point guard, but others will be in the mix. Lost the footing, lost the ball. Saved by Womack. He fires, and this is strong. Weak side battle for the rebound. And look out, Hopkins into his coaches, and out of bounds to Towson. This has not been a Rembrandt by any stretch.
No. Yeah, you know, it's to be expected. I mean, you don't expect this to be a smooth, flowing game for either team. You'd like that to happen, but it's not realistic. And right now, I got to credit this Towson Tiger team. They've come in here on the road, They just came off. They had a scrimmage versus Rutgers about a week ago, and Pat Scarry described that as a rock fight. It was like a 54-51 game. I believe Rutgers won that game, but it was still a game that they both learned from. And same thing goes for this game. St. John's trying to learn who they have, what kind of rotations they can use, and Towson doing the same.
Yeah, St. John's, you have Darling at the point of attack defending with Hopkins, Ejiofor, Sanun, and Jackson. So this is a primary group right now for the Johnnies. 8 to shoot for Towson. Up and under, denied that time.
Great block by Sanun.
Darling slips it at the feet of Ejiofor and rolls to Hopkins, who scores.
Broken play, but Hopkins has a knack for the ball and the explosiveness with this third basket of the game. He's come off the bench and really been a standout guy early on in this first half.
14-13 Tigers. Towson, the pick to win the CAA again, received 7 first-place votes out of 13 as the ball's kicked by Jackson and the shot clock at 20 when play resumes from Queens. Exhibition season underway.
Yes.
The place was bumping. There was the laser show, which at the time was a huge deal.
Yeah.
30 years ago, I think Felipe Lopez didn't win the dunk contest, but Rowan Barrett did.
Rowan Barrett, yes. Good man. Your good memory. That's a flashback. You just brought me back to that.
Well, I mean, I stole a clip 3 days ago for a minute, but
doing your research, yeah.
That was a year, and I'm not comparing it to this year, but the expectation, you're what, a junior at the time, Felipe comes in. I mean, that night had to feel like the start of something, didn't it?
It was electric. We actually were all freshmen, me, Felipe, and Zendon Hamilton. That was our freshman year, and it was a moment I'll never forget. We were on Midnight Madness, ESPN, and the excitement was incredible.
And different expectations this season as Williamson strokes the three. He's got a nice shot there, his first points here today.
Nice ball movement by Towson allowed Williamson to get that open three. And they are starting to shoot the ball better in this last 2-3 minute stretch. Towson is.
For the Johnnies, you have Sellers back in with Hopkins, Ejiofor, Jackson, and Sanun. And Jackson from the Bronx, the three off the dribble misses. And here is Dylan Williamson from the state of Maryland, the junior. Last year in the CAA tournament was dynamite, 18 of 32 from 3 in their last 4 games total. The roll and the foul, as Sanun met it at the foul line, but he's called for reaching in for his first today.
Yeah, when I talked to Pat Scarry about Williamson, he said he is the guy who wants the ball and when the game is on the line. He's not afraid to take the big shot, and you know, he plays with a real steady demeanor, but he's a guy that they really feed off his energy, his leadership. It's him and Tejada that they really count on, but Williamson at the point guard, obviously.
Look out.
That almost was a steal by Darling, but Williamson was able to muscle it from him. But, you know, Williamson is that guy that controls things from the point guard position, but also can really score it.
There he is now. No, Darling trying to stay with him. The running teardrop goes for Williamson.
And he just had Darling on skates there after making the three before. It opened up his inside game.
Nice over the top. And Dylan Mitchell with the finish for St. John's as that ends the run for Towson. A 6-0 spurt, but right now it's a 4-point game. Doumbia had to pick it up. Trying to get it back. Coming our way. Towson, a low turnover team historically under Pat Scarry. Oh, stop and go. Doumbia fouled at the rim is inside out dribble.
Yeah, a nice heads up move is what they call that, where you freeze the defender and make him think you're going to take a shot, and got Zuby Ejiofor in the air. And Doumbia, you know, who knocked down a couple jump shots, which is why Ejiofor had to go out and contest. Doumbia kind of froze him and was able to get to the lane off the bounce.
way short as Leotopoulos re-enters for St. John's in place of Sellers.
A lot of rotations we've seen by Coach Pitino so far.
No question.
At least 8 or 9 different lineups. And this is a team that is 10 deep. And certainly the first 7 or 8 guys are all good enough to start.
And this will stay with the Tigers off Sanun. And now it's Tyler Schmidt back in for Towson in place of Doumbia. Talked to Matt Abdelmassi, the St. John's general manager. He's put so much of this roster together along with the coaching staff. And they view the top 6, whether it's Jackson off the bench, Hopkins off the bench. I mean, what a spoil of riches, if you will, for a team that's coming off a number 2 seed in the tournament.
Well, you know, that was the goal coming in this offseason, is to improve your roster and give yourself a chance to go to a Final Four. And they feel like this is a team that has that kind of talent. And I agree. We don't know what it's going to look like yet, but in terms of talent, you know, 1 through 6, 1 through 7, they have as good a unit talent-wise as anyone in the country.
And if Billie Jean King down the road at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center has the plaque that says pressure is a privilege, if St. John's embodies that as we get a kick ball on St. John's here and giving it back to Towson. But this St. John's team, Tariq, they're not running away from the expectations and the pressure. They're running to it. And they've had to talk about it internally and even publicly, but it's going to be there. They know it, and I think in many ways they're prepared for what's to come.
Yeah, they are. And you come to St. John's to play for Coach Pitino because you want that pressure, because that means you're doing something that everyone wants. And the excitement that was in the Garden last year, going undefeated at home and having the city, you know, just locked in is what you want. As Tejada and Williamson are now starting to take over this game, up 7. St. John's has not been able to stop either of those guys in this last 5-minute stretch. It's a critical point in the game.
Yeah, Towson 4 of 11 from 3 now. Sanun for 2, and that's a nice 18-footer for Sanun.
Well, Sanun is a 6'4", dynamite scoring guard that can play on or off the ball. He's had a phenomenal preseason, and he is a guy who can really hurt you a variety of ways, off the bounce or off the catch.
Tejada across the lane, steps, misses on the fadeaway. Ejiofor stayed with him, and it's gone back to the Johnnies.
Is highly respected in terms of their ability to motivate, teach, and on the same page with Coach Pitino in terms of what he expects from these guys. And that's important to have a staff that's totally connected when you bring in so many new players. 10 new guys on this team this year. The staff's so important to get those guys to buy in.
That's the group. You love the continuity, and you love the fact that there's still one guy who's running individual workouts every morning and throughout the summer.
That's
and
right.
He happens to be in his 70s and a Hall of Famer.
And with no signs of slowing down either.
Tejada on a fall away, and that's good for Towson.
Well, Tejada's starting to use his size, and you know, right there he just lifted right over the defense at 6'9" and had an isolation situation where he could get to his spot.
Dylan Mitchell with the ball, the transfer from Cincinnati. Mitchell with the left, and left it short over Tejada.
Good defense by Tejada, and there's been very little activity on the offensive glass for the Red Storm. Zuby Ejiofor has not been as effective. A lot of that has to do with Towson being physical and blocking out.
And Williamson with a tough corner tray. That's his second 3.
And he takes a ton of threes, and you cannot come out to him with your hands down. Darling was not in a position to contest.
A 10-point Towson lead. Sanun misses. $1:43 to go. And Williamson will slowly bring it up for the visitors.
And Pat Scarry is telling his team, we don't want to run. We want to work the clock. There's a
Mitchell for the secondary break. Darling will slow it up. Leotopoulos explodes for 2.
quick first step by Lefty. That's what they call him. Leotopoulos looking good in the sophomore year.
Eric Pitino. And Pat O'Connell, Parfait Baiti, who played at Rhode Island, Chris Conway among the assistants for the Tigers.
They've done a great job. Pat Scario was Coach of the Year last year, and he's come close to winning Coach of the Year a couple other years previous to that. The thing about this league is a very good league, but it's a one-bid league in most cases, and you have to win your conference tournament. So, you know, it puts a lot more pressure on you as a coach.
Oh, giving up. Pass back, and Hopkins to swipe in the finish.
Hopkins has been the bright spot for the Red Storm in this first half. He looks explosive. He's active, and everything is going to the rim, showing that athleticism that we're so used to seeing.
He has 8 points. He's made 4 shots. About 3 seconds between the clocks, and Williamson of the Tigers will slow it up. Get a good shot down the stretch.
3 second differential here.
They've shot 40%. They're 5 of 12 from 3. 5 to shoot. Williamson between the legs. Fade away for 3. In and out. 1 second ago. Etchafor at the buzzer, and that is off the mark. First half, St. John's shot 32%. Down 29-21 against Towson.
Yeah, and you got to give Towson credit. They outplayed St. John's for 20 minutes, and a lot of that has to do with their defensive effort, keeping Zuby Ejiofor off the glass and making it a half-court game. They did not let St. John's get out of transition. St. John's, they're still